I'm Karima Brown. It's Sunday morning and it's time for The Fix. First up, we examine whether KPMG can transcend its reputational damage in a time where they keep on popping up as enablers of state capture. Then we unpack what's been happening at the largest player on the JSE, the Public Investment Corporation, following the resignation of its CEO, Dan Machila. We speak with Deputy Minister and Chair of the PIC, Mondli Gungubele. Then lastly, we trawl through the weekend newspapers and discuss the logic of their headline stories and also look ahead to what will make the news come Monday. The Fix starts now. This is The Fix, where every Sunday, without fear or favour, we question the big role players. We look ahead and tell you what matters, how it affects you, and why you should care. And as usual, my sparring partner is with me, Sunday Times and Business Day columnist, Peter Bruce. Hi, Peter.
Karima, hi.
Hi. Happy belated birthday.
Yes, thank you. A year older and a bit wiser, I hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've had a busy week.
We have had a busy week. I thought that Ngwako Ramatlhodi, the former Minerals and Public Administration Minister, was fantastic at the Zondo Commission.
Placing Zuma front and centre at state
all
capture.
The time.
Yes.
It was just, there was one story he never told, which is that he was completely humiliated when Zuma fired him as Minerals Minister, because when he came out of the office after that, standing there waiting to go in, were Duduzane Zuma and Muthubenzi Zwane.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the front page of the City Press we will come back to later.
City Press and Reporter both got the same front page lead today. The new Communication Minister stepping in to try to stop the SABC board doing its duty and cutting costs at the SABC in order to save it. Obviously, it's pre-election. Nobody wants anything bad to happen before the election, but you can't do this. If this is the hallmark of the Ramaphosa administration, we're in really big trouble.
Absolutely, and more importantly, we know that Hlaudi Motsoeneng inflated the budget by illegally, promoting people and illegally remunerating them. And the point that the unions are making is go and fetch and attach the money that Hlaudi stole, and then come and talk to us about how you want to deal with things like retrenchments. Why is retrenchments the first, option? So I think those are some of the things.
If I was a ratings agency, I'd be worried about this particular story about the SABC, because it kind of has a whiff of that ESCOM thing, where
absolutely.
they were going to say no pay increases, and in steps a minister, Pravin Gordhan, of all people, to say no, give them a pay rise.
Yeah.
And so, you can't keep the unions sweet all the time. It's just not possible. You've got to find another way to include them in power.
Especially a union at the SABC, the Communications Workers Union, that colluded with Hlaudi. I've asked them how many of their members have been illegally promoted and how are they going to deal with that, and they're now waiting for the report. They don't have the numbers yet, so that is actually quite important. It's the SIU report, but there's also an internal board report, and of course the turnaround strategy. And that's the one thing that we need to know. We need to actually know who was responsible, and I think both Bamao and Solidarity have a really great position. Their position is going to attach the properties of the people who stole money and then talk to us.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what happens. But I'm worried about that. This is the state-owned companies being mollycoddled. And
absolutely.
When we have a large auditing firm failing us in the manner in which that one has, it's an issue of serious concern.
That, of course, Tito Mboweni speaking his mind as always. Here on The Fix, we like to get to the heart of things. So in the hotspot is KPMG, one of the biggest four audit firms across the world. This morning we asked how such a global entity became a key role player in the Gupta-led state capture, and if they can recalibrate the company's culture and rescue its tattered reputation. And to help us do this, we welcome to the show Professor Wiseman Nkuhlu, who's the new board chairperson of KPMG. Prof, good morning, welcome.
Good morning, Karima. Thank you very much for receiving
me. The finance minister was pretty emphatic. He was essentially saying that this firm has let us down repeatedly. And of course, we know that if auditing firms and accounting firms don't hold the line, the entire market economy collapses, because we can't actually tell what the health of a company is. Why has KPMG simply not taken the South African people into its confidence and explained the extent to which it was actually compromised?
Yes, actually, KPMG is busy doing exactly that. As you know, the first report was produced in September 2017 by KPMG International. That was followed by the appointment of 2 non-executive directors to their board. And then in March, April, we had the VBS. Post that VBS, we made it a point that KPMG appears before the Saga inquiry chaired by Advocate Sebeza. KPMG took advantage of that opportunity to actually answer very important questions about what happened, about state capture, about the SARS forensic report, and the attendance of the wedding. And I believe that the completion of that report is going to give insights as to exactly what happened. And of course, there's the Zondo Commission that is also going to be, is in progress. And KPMG will make sure that appears before the Zondo Commission to answer whatever questions the public still has.
Before Peter comes in, and I know he's itching too, I want to ask you this question. So far, KPMG has never taken the public into its confidence, like SAP did. Call a press conference, speak about the extent to which the firm has actually been compromised. You have been fingered by investigative journalists again and again, and then you have to answer. And this is long after the first allegations actually came out. Why is there such a reluctance within KPMG to actually just take this story and message it properly and tell the South African people the extent to which the rot goes? Because this is not just a once-off. There's something wrong with the culture in your company.
No, not quite. You know, all these things happened in KPMG in previous years up to April this year, when VBS was in the papers. Since that time, we've been involved in a very intensive, deep-root analysis to get to the bottom of what happened. And during that time, I have repeatedly, personally talked to the media and called press conferences to say these things should never have happened and they will not happen again. And there are many reports that I've released. One can have a look at that at YouTube. And as I say, we use the Sebeza Commission to actually share with the public what happened. We've been very open. We've had a number of NGOs, including Corruption Watch, coming to KPMG to give us a platform to talk openly about what happened. KPMG has done that, especially since the appointment of the 2 independent non-executive directors on the board. And we recognized and said publicly that KPMG, there can be no reacceptance. It will not be possible for KPMG to regain public trust without saying openly, faithfully what happened. And we've actually been doing that.
I mean, KPMG rose so high in the world. I mean, it was probably the top auditing firm.
Yes.
I mean, you know, it basically it had all the banks as clients. Yes. And to get there, you would have had to have been really trustworthy and good at your job. I say your job, but the KPMG people. What happens to a company that can go that high and fall as far as it has? Something, and I'm sure Karima is right, there's something cultural that happens in there. It must be something that grips the minds of the leadership.
Yes.
That allows that to happen. You've been there 6 months now.
Yes.
Have you found that thing?
I think I have a better understanding of really what happens to very successful companies.
What is it?
What I've really, to me, I'm focusing on is the fact that KPMG, as you say, was a very successful company. When a company is very successful, there's always the danger of complacency creeping in. And those who lead will think that they lead because they are exceptional, extraordinary people, and fail to give adequate attention to risk management and also to quality matters. In other words, success over an extended period of time leads to arrogance and belief that the company can do no wrong and take risks that can actually bring the company down, as it happened in the case. I think that was the first thing. The second thing is that when companies tend to measure and reward only revenue, and if you do that to the exclusion of quality issues, to the exclusion of integrity issues, you run the risk of promoting the wrong incentives. People believe that they're just, whereas the audit company, they're expected to uphold high standards of integrity and quality, they come to believe that they are a commercial entity like any other one. What should really paramount in their business is commercial return. And if you do that, that is what should be corrected in the audit firms, if they are going to change.
Sorry, Karima.
No, I want to come in there. You were speaking about the fact that KPMG does auditing services, but it also does advisory services. So there is, and consultancy, and KPMG and other firms essentially build in a model that says, if we help you save X amount of money, then we take a percentage of the returns. And then you have the auditing company, the auditing division on the other side. Now, capitalism is irrational, so it needs rules. There's a design fault in an auditing company also being an advisory service, taking a cut of the very company that they audit. Shouldn't that be the fundamental thing that you address? And isn't that where the answer lies?
Yeah, that is being addressed by a number of regulators, including the UK, by saying that audit firms should not provide advisory services to their audit clients. And really, we are following that very closely as KPMG, but what we have done in the meantime within the existing rules is to make sure that our controls around audit are strengthened, and really we ring-fence auditing and make sure that the governance structure around auditing is really high and avoids these kinds of conflicts of interest, and that advisory operates separately from that. So, but I agree with you that there's something that really is in the design of these professional services companies, makes these conflicts, very difficult to manage. But really, having said that, for me, post Enron, some major steps were taken, and if the rest of the world can just implement those prescriptions that have been implemented in the United States, we can go a long way. But above all, tone from the top. If you lead a professional services company as a leader, you must understand what power you have in terms of knowledge and technical expertise, and make sure that that power is not used to promote and support things that would harm society, as the case is when you support corruption or you are implicated in state capture.
You want to comment?
You seem to be sort of saying in a way that the thing to hold on to is the auditing sort of
part of
operation.
The business.
Would you distance yourself or let go of the consulting part of KPMG as part of a rescue, or as part of a turnaround?
Personally, I'm not opposed to that model. Yeah. But you see, if you are in an industry, you must go with the discussions that are taking place in the industry. But for now, what I'm focusing on is really ring-fencing auditing. Yeah. But I'm not opposed to that kind of thinking. I'm following these discussions very closely. Yeah. And in the UK, KPMG has already taken a decision, actually, not to provide audit services to its audit clients. Okay. I think we're going to move in that direction.
You would have to undo quite a few.
Yes.
You would have to undo some relationships.
Yes.
Let's take VBS as an example. And the reason why I want to focus on VBS is because VBS happened in 2018. We started knowing about KPMG's role in the Gupta enabling state capture project way before then. KPMG came out, it did an apology, it said it would return the money, but it didn't admit to what was happening in VBS. You had to be told by the media that there is a problem and that there is complicity between your people. So how genuine is the actual turnaround? How genuine is the actual desire to change the company, to recalibrate its image, and like you say, to follow world best practice? We had 2008 as a classic example. Why is it in 2018 that one of the top 4 auditing firms in the world didn't learn the lesson of 2008?
No, Karim. VBS audit was completed in June 2017. Mm-hmm. And it's just happened that it really unraveled in March, towards the end of March 2018. And the enhancements to risk management, to quality, to culture in KPMG, we started that process on my side when I joined the board on the beginning of March. But the analysis has been going on. The KPMG that I'm talking about now, the new KPMG that we're launching with the appointment of the new chief executive, is different from that KPMG. The lessons learned incorporate the experience of VBS that exploded in April in terms of saying, how do we now change risk management, quality control, and the culture in the business? And that analysis we have now completed, and that's why I'm confident that we are going to implement a new KPMG.
You'll be able to review people's audits and this sort of thing. So
yes, what we did, you see, one, we listened to a number of NGOs that were engaging KPMG on corruption, on state capture, and so on. And also, we spent quite some time through culture workshop, understanding from the employees, especially the junior and middle ones, what pressure they were experiencing or failure of leadership by the partners.
Or even ignoring the red flags that were there.
Yes, so we spent quite some time on that. But we realized that possibly to really get to understand the work habits of the partners, we have to do what we call audit file reviews. So we have to make sure that the work of each partner, work completed in the last 18 months, is reviewed by independent parties coming from outside KPMG, so that we can identify the weaknesses, the deficiencies that need to be fixed. That has been done, and it is that information that we have used to reset policies, procedures, and so on, and we're able to say we're launching a new firm.
Peter?
Are there still pockets of denial in KPMG? In other words, you talk about the junior and the middle people being who you're targeting with your new cultural message. Are you saying that there are senior people there to whom that would be wasted on, that effort? Or, what I'm asking, I guess, are there people who think, still in KPMG, that,
nothing really is wrong.
That it's all been exaggerated.
No, but that's why, actually, this process has taken this long. Yeah. With my colleague, Ansi Ramallo, we joined the board in first March. We tried to really dig deep in this. Denial was there. And that is why, first of all, as you know, 9 senior executives were removed from the firm. And now, through these audit file reviews, some files have been found to have serious defects.
Really?
And before we could complete this review, which we initiated around August, 13 audit partners were found, their work was found to be defective. 6 of them left before, because they knew the results that we were going to discipline. They left. Of the 7 that are left, we have imposed various sanctions depending on the seriousness of the defects. So people who are in denial and who want to change, we force them to leave, or they are going to undergo higher levels of monitoring going forward, and if they fail that monitoring, they leave.
Prof, last question. There has been the suggestion that we need to rotate auditing firms so that there's no question of comfortability over familiarity and people can establish what leads to corrupt relationships. How open are you to that rotational basis, though, so you don't get the same contracts all the time, so that there is actually a way in which you almost ring-fence yourself from that culture even beginning to take shape in a company like yours?
I strongly support mandatory audit rotation, and it's going to greatly address the issues around independence and also make sure that familiarity doesn't come to undermine the quality. And of course, another objective is going to be transformation.
Absolutely.
You know, one of the difficulties, the challenge that the country has to address is concentration. That with only 4 firms, you know, you need more competition among the firms.
Absolutely.
But having said that, of course,
You're not gonna
having one
generate
firm
business.
to fail, that would also be detrimental to the economy.
Yes.
Because if you only have 3 major firms in the country, there can be no meaningful monetary rotation.
Absolutely.
So the solution is fixing KPMG. In fixing that, get rid of the leadership that really caused the company to be in the crisis in, and put in new leadership. That's why I attach so much importance to the important announcement of the new chief executive that will be joining the firm early next year.
Fantastic, Professor. Thank you so very much. After the break, we speak with the PIC Board Chairperson, Deputy Finance Minister Mondli Gungubele, to find out exactly what's been happening at Africa's largest asset manager.